with our Miss Chinatown finalists. First up is Cassandra Chan. Your question is, as a community, what is one concrete learning that we gained from experiencing the pandemic? Timer starts now.
I think the one thing that we learned in this pandemic is definitely gratitude. A lot of us have experienced uncertainty about the future, and a lot of us felt fear about what's going to happen next. I think what we can all do is just use that Filipino Chinese value of having a gracious heart and just having a strong sense of community. I think that's very important, and that's something that we can do in this lockdown to have a more positive outlook on life and a more happy future. And I think one of the best things that we can do is to just be gracious and find more blessings with each other. So if we can rise up, we can come out of this lockdown stronger than ever. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. That is the time. Thank you very much, Cassandra. Awesome job. And yes, gratitude is very important. So thank you very much. Okay, so I'm sure that her fans are so proud. Next up, let's call in our next female finalist. We have Hillary Uy. There we go. Hi, Hillary. Okay, so answer this question once I say that it starts now. Okay, the timer? Okay, so this is your question. As a community, what is one concrete learning that we gained from experiencing this pandemic? Timer starts now.
So as a community, I think we started to rise together as like we are resilient as one community rising from this pandemic, because we've started from the lockdown during March, and then now we're still standing here today working towards each other and helping our frontliners. My sister is actually a doctor, and I super believe that she's working hard every day to try to get the sorry.
Okay, it's fine. You really were able to share your thoughts eloquently. So, despite the timer, congratulations and thank you very much. Okay, next up, let's bring in Annie Uson. Hi, Annie. Okay, so you can start answering once I say that timer is starting. This is your question. As a community, what is one concrete learning that we gained from experiencing this pandemic? Timer starts now.
As a community, I think that the number one learning is the gift of appreciation, because when you were able to see the goodness in everything, you will be able to help other people, and when you'll be able to see the smiles on the faces of the people, it will just let you appreciate life even more, and it creates a ripple effect. When you appreciate yourself and life in general, other people will able to appreciate you as well.
Oh, wow. Okay, right by the 30-second marker. Thank you so much, Annie. Lovely seeing your smile too as you share that. Next up, we have Camille Buenaventura. Hey, Camille.
Hi, everyone. Good evening.
Okay, so Camille, this is my question, but answer when I say that timer is starting now, and when you hear the sound, stop answering. Okay, this is your question. As a community, what is one concrete learning that we gained from experiencing the pandemic? Timer starts now.
In these trying times, I feel that the community has learned that we are all here to help and support each other, be it through social media, be it through little ways that we could help each other. I personally helped my workers when our business almost shut down during the pandemic, and I put them before myself. And I tried helping through social media donations, even for those less fortunate.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that answer. So let's bring in our finalist once again, all the way from Boston, Kat Ibasco. Hey, Kat. Okay, so this is the question you've been waiting for. You can start when I say that the timer has started, and please end when you hear the sound. Okay, this is the question. As a community, what is one concrete learning that we gained from experiencing the pandemic? Timer starts now.
I think that we all have finally understood the idea of social responsibility. And that's not to say that we didn't understand it before, but I think right now we have better understood what they say when they say that we are only as great as the community the world that we live in, and from that we should grow as individuals together and support each other, and not only empower ourselves but use the positivity that we claim for ourselves and bring that into the world that we live in.
Thank you so much. Awesome. Very good point. Okay, thank you so much once again to Kat. And lastly, for our female finalists, and here we have her. Let's call in Letitia Tan. Hi, Letitia. Okay, so this is your question, but you can answer when I say that the timer starts now, and stop answering when you hear the sound. Okay, this is your question. As a community, what is one concrete learning that we gained from experiencing this pandemic? Timer starts now.
As a community, I have learned during this pandemic that change really starts within you. No matter how cliche that may sound, we must realize that the change really begins when we realize who we are as a person and what we have as a vision. Because we must remind ourselves that our vision impacts our past, present, and future choices. And when we realize that this is our vision, we now know that in every action we make, this must all lead towards that goal, towards a life-changing goal.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, well said. Change starts from within us. Thank you so much, Letitia. We've heard it straight from our female finalists. Now let's begin with Justin Yap. Hi, Justin. So you may answer the question when I say that the timer starts now, and stop when you hear the sound. This is your question. Do you believe that life after the pandemic will never be the same again? Why or why not? Timer starts now.
I always believe in children. They will be the future of our society. They will be the game changers. So life after the pandemic will always be a life for all of us, because the pandemic isn't forever. So it is important for me that we teach our children the proper mindset, because as I said, they are the game changers of our society and the future, because that is reality. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, thank you so much for that answer. Okay, so now let's bring in our next male finalist, Dawn Tang. Hi, Dawn. Okay,
Hi,
so
how are you?
I'm doing good. Okay, I hope you don't seem nervous at all. Okay, so this is your question.
I'm glad we meet again.
That's great. Okay, answer only when I say that the timer starts now, and you can stop when you hear the sound. Okay? So this is your question. Your question is, do you believe that life after the pandemic will never be the same again? Why or why not? Timer starts now.
I feel that life after the pandemic may not be the same, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. If we allow ourselves to shift our mindset towards our surroundings and towards ourselves, we are human, and I think what the beauty of being human is we are always able to adjust and we are always able to adapt to new surroundings. It's not always the easiest thing to do, but it's something that's doable with everyone that we care about and with our family and with our friends. And while life may not be perfect, it can always be good, even after the pandemic is over. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. I'm sure everyone or a lot of people will really agree to those sentiments. Okay, now let's bring in Kevin T. Hi, Kevin.
Hi,
okay. Hey, okay, so this is your question, but only answer when I say that timer starts now, and stop when you hear the sound. Okay, your question is, do you believe that life after the pandemic will never be the same again? Why or why not? Timer starts now.
I believe life after the pandemic will never be the same. We've faced a lot of challenges these days, and right now, because of all these challenges, we are able to rise above them all. And this pandemic has taught us to be resourceful. It taught us to be very adequate on technology. We really maximize on digitalization. Most companies really use their powers in their investments on digitalization. And right now, a lot of small companies have been rising because of this.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, just in time for the timer. Okay, next up, let's call in Jiro Go. Hi, Jiro. Okay, so answer the question only when I say that the timer starts now, and stop when you hear the sound. Okay, this is your question. Do you believe that life after the pandemic will never be the same again? Why or why not?
Life after the pandemic would never be the same. Mainly because we've grown as individuals, knowing that we've survived a pandemic that killed billions of people around the world, and knowing that, as you know our slogan, rebuild, inspire, strengthen, and empower, these four factors differ from our daily lives, from our day-to-day basis, especially now that the pandemic is on hand. And having this mentality of growth, which is my advocacy, it leads us to knowing more about ourselves. Therefore, the end goal for us is to be more and do more, not only for ourselves, but people around us. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jiro. Okay, let's bring in Jarek Louis. This is your question. Do you believe that life after the pandemic will never be the same again? Why or why not? Timer starts now.
Yes, I do believe that life after the pandemic will never be the same because of the repercussions that we've been through, both mentally, physically, financially. These are effects that will last long. And I think right now we need to focus on the solutions, on making the repercussions at least minimize the damages that it has done, especially on mental health, because now more than ever, people are suffering, not just physically, not just with their health, but of course mentally, right? Because the pandemic has affected everything around us, everything we know has changed. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, well said. Okay, lastly, let's bring in Beef Co. Do you believe that life after the pandemic will never be the same again? Why or why not? Timer starts now.
Life after pandemic shouldn't be about choosing which is normal or which is a new normal. Just like the phoenix, whereas we try to say that we are rising from the ashes, this is something that we've been used to. Rising from the ashes isn't only about not giving up, but it's also continuing through the pandemic. So for me, whatever happens after this pandemic or during this pandemic, it's been life as it is. And what we're going to do next is what matters, if we're going to rise from it or not.
Awesome. Yes, that concludes our final question round. So the fate of our candidates now, they all lie in the hands of our esteemed judges. And yeah, we witness the crowning of our newest Mr. and Miss Chinatown Philippines coming right up when we return.